Listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio AM 820 brings you Family Sanctuary, a show that inspires living the gospel message in word and deed within our families. And now, Family Sanctuary with host Peggy Hartshorn.
Welcome to the Family Sanctuary, focusing on life-giving relationships and the family. I'm your host, Peggy Hartshorn, with Heartbeat International that advances life-affirming pregnancy help around the world. And today I've just got a wonderful story that we're going to share with you, and it's very exciting because it involves life-giving relationships in the family and, of course, the pregnancy help around the world, because it's a story, a true story. We're calling it Abortion Pill Reversal, a true story. And some people, maybe even you're listening now, I didn't know that abortion pill could be reversed, a type of abortion that can actually be reversed in the middle of this abortion. Yes, it can be. And we've got a beautiful story that we have a beautiful guest with us, Sierra. Welcome, Sierra.
Hi, thank you.
Sierra has experienced the abortion pill reversal and has her beautiful little girl, Sawyer, not with her today, but I've met Sawyer a couple of times, a beautiful, beautiful little girl. And she's going to tell her story along with her nurse, Kara Shand, who was the nurse who walked along with her during that abortion pill reversal process after she had started the abortion pill reversal. And Kara is a nurse at PDHC, Pregnancy Decision Health Centers here in Columbus, Ohio, which was the pregnancy center that really walked with Sierra during that reversal. So it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And welcome, both of you. Welcome, Kara.
Thank you so much for having me.
You may know Kara. Some of you may. She's not only a nurse at PDHC, but also is the youth minister, high school youth minister at St. Brendan's. So, and has actually been on our cafe before. So thank you so much, Kara. So let's start with your story, and we'll continue with some of the phenomenal details, Sierra, of that story. So it was a couple of years ago.
Yes.
You found yourself pregnant.
Yes.
Tell us your story.
Okay, so I was a single mom with 4 children in the middle of a divorce, custody battle and divorce and all that craziness. And I found myself pregnant again for the 5th time. I immediately was like, how am I going to do this? I unfortunately convinced myself that an abortion was the only option. So I found myself calling Planned Parenthood. I made the appointment and just kind of numbed myself until my appointment. Just tried to not think about what I was doing or that it was wrong. Took the world's standpoint on it, that it's normal and it's okay. So on my drive up to the abortion clinic, I was praying. I was listening to worship music. I was crying out to God just for a sign, someone to text, someone to call, a sign on the side of the road, just to know that I didn't have to do this. And there was nothing. I felt nothing. So I go into the abortion clinic, and it was comparable to the worst funeral that you've ever attended. Just so empty. So sad. There was probably 25 to 30 other women in there. Just this heaviness. You aren't allowed to have, electronics at all, no cell phones, no, Apple Watches, nothing. So you're just alone, sitting, waiting for your appointment.
They take your electronics.
Yeah, you have to leave them in your car. Yeah. I'm assuming for legal reasons.
Maybe they don't want you talking to anyone else or hearing from the father of the child. Yes. I'll help you. You don't need to do this.
Right. And it was very isolating. And that's what I was thinking the whole time I was there. Maybe someone texted, maybe someone called, but
you're still somehow looking for a sign.
Yes. And so I went and you meet with a person. I guess they would consider it a counselor. I wouldn't consider it a counselor, but you meet with them and they just kind of walk you through what the process looks like. And they asked me if I had any questions, and I remember distinctly asking, will this pill stop the baby's heartbeat? And she said, yes, it will stop the baby's heartbeat. And I said, okay, will this baby look like a baby when I pass it? No, it won't look like a baby, just like a heavy period. So then
maybe we should stop just for a moment, Sierra, to update the audience. If they don't understand the abortion pill, this is the most common type of abortion now in the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
Overall, statistics show about 60% of all abortions are now by abortion pill. But in Franklin County, where we're actually recording this program, it's over 80% documented that, and the way the trajectory is going, in another few years, it may be the only type of abortion done in the United States. When it was first legalized here, it actually had some restrictions on it, such as it only had to be, it would only be done if the embryo or fetus was under 7 weeks of gestation, or not over 7 weeks of gestation. There were some guidelines. At least you had to have an ultrasound to see how far along you were. You had to have 3 doctor visits, 1 before and 2 after. There were all kinds of requirements to try to limit the dangers of the pill to women, not to the babies, but to women, because women would be having their abortion at home, which is what you just referred to. You would be taking the pill, the first one at the abortion clinic. That's no longer required, by the way, for our audience. It can be sent to you through the mail. You wouldn't have even had to go to an abortion clinic. But you did take the first pill there. And we'll get to that part of your story. But I just wanted to let people know that you would have had the abortion actually at home. Not at the abortion clinic. They would give you the first pill, give you 2 other pills to take home with you, and tell you within 24 to 48 hours to take those pills. You would have passed the baby at home. Most women do this, unfortunately, in their own bathrooms. And it's very traumatic because often you can see the baby.
Absolutely.
So you did ask those questions. You were going to take that pill and then go home, and you knew already you would be having that baby at home. All right. So I wanted to clarify that. So you asked those 2 important questions, and you were told a lie. Both times.
And I think I was trying to convince myself that if, medical professionals were telling me that it was maybe less inhumane, because I knew that I was 9 weeks gestation. So I knew that the baby looked like a baby. I knew that the baby had a heartbeat. I just was trying to convince myself, I think.
Sure.
So then I went to meet with the doctor. And again, I asked, will this pill stop the baby's heartbeat? And I think I was wanting to know that it would stop the baby's heartbeat because it felt less like disturbing, or like I was doing something wrong. I felt like, okay, the baby wouldn't feel anything. But
kind of being instantaneous.
And so I thought, once I took that first pill, I immediately regretted it, but I was like, that's it. Like, the baby's gone, right? So as I'm walking out of Planned Parenthood, just completely distraught, knowing that I just messed up, like, what did I do? And I knew, like, God would forgive me, but I didn't know if I could forgive myself, right? And so as I'm walking out, I get in my car and I text my OBGYN. She had delivered 4 of my babies, so we were on like a friendship level at this point. And I texted her and I said, is there anything I can do to reverse what I just did? And she said, unfortunately not. I'm praying for you. So I was like, this is it, And, there was a bunch of protesters that were not very nice people, screaming at these women, disgusting things. But past the protesters, avoiding making eye contact with any protesters, there was a sign in the grass past the fence, and it said, if you took the first pill, it's not too late. And I just was, overwhelmed. Like, there was my sign.
And it was a literal sign.
A literal sign. And so I, pulled over as fast as possible, and I Googled that phrase, if you took the first pill, it's not too late. and the abortion pill reversal hotline came up.
Mhm.
I immediately called them. And the sweetest voice on the phone, I said, I just took the first abortion pill. I'm a little over 9 weeks pregnant. I'm not doing good right now. So please don't, give me the bells and whistles. Like, what can I do? And she said, we can help you. And before anything, she said, can we pray for you? And that was huge because there was no shame. There was no condemnation. It wasn't like, how could you have done this? What kind of person are you? All the things that you would think would come with, a pro-life organization. And I just was trying to take the life of my baby. So that one in itself was just such a peace on my spirit,
That makes me feel so good, Sierra. And I know because the Abortion Pill Reversal Network, of course, is part of Heartbeat International.
Mm-hmm.
And that is always our calling,
Mm-hmm.
to be the love of Christ, to help someone hear it in our voices.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what happened with
Mm-hmm.
you. So
So
that was a beautiful thing.
Right. I was already filled with such shame and guilt. I had enough for everyone. Like I didn't need anyone else putting more on me. So that was huge. So they immediately connected me with my closest facility at the time, and that was PDHC in Columbus. And they started me on progesterone that night, called it into my pharmacy. So I was able to pick that up that night and started immediately.
Mm-hmm. Because the first pill, the mifepristone, cuts
Mm-hmm.
off the progesterone, and that begins to separate the baby from your uterus and starving the baby, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The second pills, which you didn't take, you hadn't taken those yet,
Right.
would have started contractions.
Right.
All right. So, by the way, let me reintroduce our guest. If you've just joined our program, our guest is Sierra. Welcome, Sierra, again, and Kara, the nurse from PDHC, who we'll hear about. Kara's part of your story. We're about halfway through our program. So, Sierra is talking about her abortion pill reversal, which occurred about 2 years ago. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I've met her beautiful little girl, Sawyer. So abortion pill reversal exists. It does work. It's interesting, as you were telling your story, Sierra, about seeing the sign. She's talking about she was praying for a sign as she drove the 3 hours to the abortion clinic, that she didn't have to have this abortion, that there would be someone who would just call and say, you don't have to do this. And yet after you had taken the first pill, leaving the parking lot of the abortion clinic, there was your sign. It was an actual literal sign for Heartbeat's Abortion Pill Reversal Network. And you called, you Googled, you called that number. We're connected to PDHC. Well, first of all, we're connected to the provider who could do the prescription for progesterone, then connected to PDHC, who could walk with you during this process. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. So so you got connected to PDHC after you were taking the progesterone. Let me get Kara in here. So Kara, did you talk to Sierra on the phone? Is that correct?
I did, yeah. I had the privilege of meeting Sierra that first day, just a few hours after she had taken the pill and then made contact with the Abortion Pill Reversal Network. And we got to talk on the phone.
That same day.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. So got to hear a bit about Sierra's story, what her current life circumstances were, and then got to connect her with our doctor for the progesterone, the reversal process, and got to pray with Sierra, assure her that, she's going to make the 2-hour drive back up to Columbus the next day, and we were going to do an ultrasound and see if this baby still had a heartbeat. And so I was praying for her, all afternoon and evening until we met in person for the first time the next morning.
And so so Sierra, what happened with the ultrasound?
Okay, so I went in for the ultrasound and obviously just scared to death because I was told that the pill would stop the baby's heartbeat. So she puts the ultrasound probe on my belly and says, there's a heartbeat. You can imagine the feeling in the room at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful. And I think I even just visibly saw like the peace of God wash over Sierra from going from anxious to like actually feeling the relief of, wow, this is real. This is actually happening. My baby
Sure.
has a heartbeat. And as a nurse, it's just such a privilege and an honor to be with people in that very sacred moment. Regardless of what the outcome is, it's a privilege to be with people in the midst of that, that sacred moment. And it was a moment of great peace and rejoicing that Sawyer had a heartbeat. We didn't know it was Sawyer then, but
Well, Sierra is trying to control some tears of joy here as she's hearing Kara and thinking about those feelings again of knowing that her baby did have a heartbeat. She was with a loving person, Kara, that God had worked a miracle in your own sense of the beauty of that moment. So you continued right with PDHC for a number of months, continuing with the ultrasounds, and I don't want us to run out of time without allowing you to share not just the most important outcome of this story is absolutely Sawyer, right?
Yes.
And now you are engaged to be married to Sawyer's father.
Yes.
Yes, and some very positive things happening in your life at this point. But God is really calling you to tell your story.
Yes.
Yes, and tell it without shame. And I think you said in the very beginning you were ashamed. You were afraid to tell the story.
Absolutely.
But tell us a little bit about what God is doing now, in now that you're at the stage of wanting to tell this story as much as possible. What are some of the effects that you're seeing of your story?
I think a big thing is there's been so much freedom for myself, in forgiving myself, for, potentially taking the life of my child. One of the coolest things about God through this process is that he's used something that should bring shame, condemnation, whatever you want to call it, and has used it for his glory. So, praise God for that. Just seeing his mercy and goodness in my life, I can't help but just share that with people. Sawyer was born perfectly healthy, just completely perfect.
Absolutely. She's the most beautiful little girl. She's 2 years old. Oh my gosh. She's
so
just
full
beautiful.
of life, and we absolutely needed her. Her dad absolutely needed her as well. So she's changed our lives for sure. But also in my area, we have a women's center who at the time when I was going through the abortion pill reversal did not offer services at their center.
A pregnancy help center.
Yes. And they have since told me that they are now offering that service, which is huge for our community.
You kept kind of pushing that, didn't you? You thought, why haven't you started that yet?
Yes.
I wouldn't have had to drive 2 hours. And every time I wanted another ultrasound or was scheduled to make sure that Sawyer was healthy and meet with my friends at PDHC, I needed that closer to home, right?
Right. And I know there's, hundreds, if not thousands of women just like me, that found themselves in a similar situation, and just spreading the awareness, in my town, in my area, because like I said at the time, I didn't know it was a thing. The OBs didn't know it was a thing.
Yes, your own doctor told you, no, there is no such thing.
Right.
You can't do anything now that you've taken the first pill.
Right.
And now she, of course, realizes the truth and can certainly tell the truth in the future. Sure.
So yeah, they are having their Walk for Life event in a couple weeks, and they've asked me to speak there and kind of, put it out there that that's a service that they're offering now.
At the pregnancy center, close to you.
Yes. So that's huge. So thankful for that. And to be a part of that, I'm completely honored.
We have now in the Heartbeat International Abortion Pill Rescue Network, over 1,400 providers who are willing to provide the progesterone immediately, as soon as possible. And, they will stop. In fact, one of those providers is on the board of Heartbeat International. And while we were having our board retreat last fall, she got 2 calls from the Abortion Pill Reversal Network.
Wow.
She interrupted everything. Hey, I have to take these calls.
That's amazing.
To be able to provide the progesterone immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So these doctors and nurse practitioners who can be progesterone providers
Mm-hmm.
are really wonderful, wonderful assets. So let's in fact give that website for Abortion Pill Reversal, abortionpillreversal.org, abortionpillreversal.org. And you can simply Google abortion pill reversal or reverse my abortion. This is the amazing thing to me. I love seeing in action the wonderful maternal instinct that God has provided to us women. You knew that this was your baby. You were trying every which way to block that out of your mind and your heart because you were so desperate.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew, and that maternal instinct rallied there, of course. It never gave up. And when you saw that sign, and we have, there are other abortion pill reversal stories. Obviously, not every person who would like to have an abortion pill reversal sees a sign, an actual literal sign. But somehow that instinct, although Google does not permit us to advertise the way we want to on the internet, if you continue to search reverse my abortion, is there anything I can do after taking the first abortion pill? Women think that, and then they find us.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing. We've had over 7,000 documented cases of abortion pill reversal, healthy babies and healthy moms.
Yes.
So yeah, abortionpillreversal.org. So the effect, obviously, on the pregnancy center, your local pregnancy center, on your doctor, I think you mentioned to me even you've had an opportunity to share that with a friend.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was able to walk my friend through keeping her baby as well, and just convincing her that, even if the world, normalizes it, that it's not normal. Like you don't need to go through this abortion. You can do it even as a single mom, whatever that looks like, God will provide. So she ended up keeping her baby. Yes.
That's wonderful. And we hear that so many times too. And the stories that I know, if only one person had said to me, you can do this. And so that word of hope, I'm hoping all of our listeners are registering this, how strongly, how important that is. So Kara, you've seen several stories of abortion pill reversal.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you say they've impacted you?
Yeah, I think it's increased hope in my own heart. Like you said, Peggy, one thing I always try to do as a nurse at a pregnancy center is look every single client that I have the opportunity to meet in the eye and be a voice that says, you can do this. And regardless of what decision they make when they leave our doors, that is not up to me, but I know that at the end of the day, like they had at least one person look them in the eye and say, you can do this. And so just trying to be that person for them fills me with a lot of hope. And even getting to be friends and know Sierra now for a few years, I am just immensely in awe and proud of the ways that she is stepping into sharing her story, like she said, for the glory of God. There's even been ever since Sierra's been kind of sharing her story with and through PDHC, there's been other women who have chosen life because of Sierra's story. And so it, really just fills my heart with so much hope to know Sierra, be her friend for so many years, and get to be a part of how God's using her and her story.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So, Sierra, we've got a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you'd like to share, either about your story or something that God's put on your heart?
Actually, I talked to Sawyer's dad after the fact. We weren't able to talk about it for a while because it was so raw. And I just asked him, why didn't you say something? You know what I mean? Why didn't you say not to do it or whatever? And his standpoint was because the world has put such pressure on men that it's women's bodies, women's choice. He thought being a good man meant he was just supposed to support whatever I was saying. And that was heartbreaking, So I want to encourage men, still be a good man. And being a good man means standing up for what you believe in. And if you know that is, that is wrong, then regardless of how you think the woman is going to accept what you're saying, you still need to say it. Even if the world's telling you not to, you still need to be a good man and say, no, we can do this. We don't have to go through with an abortion. We can figure it out, even if it means we're not together or not. And I just want to encourage men that it's okay to still stand up for what you believe in.
Thank you. That's a beautiful message. And I've heard that from men also in pregnancy centers, as I have worked with men as well as women. And sometimes after an abortion, they have such regret. Men suffer after abortion as well sometimes, because God gave them that wonderful instinct of fatherhood, like he gives to women the instinct for motherhood. And they instinctively want to protect.
Yes.
And so isn't it's so sad what the cultural messages that have confused men as well as women. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very inspirational. And Kara, thank you. Thank you for your work at PDHC, also your work with young people. I'm sure God's going to use your experience with the high school students that you're ministering to as well in your youth group. So I want to give again the website, abortionpillreversal.org. And people can also call Heartbeat International's option line, where you will be connected to help immediately. And that's 1-800-712-HELP, 1-800-712-HELP, 24/7. 365 days a year. So thank you. And thank you all for listening to our program today. This is the Family Sanctuary on St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, and I'm your host, Peggy Hartshorn. To find our program again and other programs from Family Sanctuary, go to stgabrielradio.com, choose podcasts, and the Family Sanctuary. We're broadcast at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and 2 o'clock on Sundays right here on St. Gabriel Catholic Radio. So join us again to strengthen our families and make them sanctuaries of life as God intends.
Family Sanctuary is a production of listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, AM 820. Archives of Family Sanctuary with Peggy Hartshorn are available at stgabrielradio.com.
Veni, Sancte